In this part of the pool referee quiz instruction video, we'll look at shots where there's a small gap between the cue ball and the object ball. Again, each shot is labeled with the quiz shot number in case you want to look back at how you answered each question. When trying to judge whether or not a small gap shot is a double hit or not, it's important to understand the tangent line direction. This is the direction the cue ball should head with a single hit from the Q-tip, and it's perpendicular to the line of center's direction. If the cue ball heads close to the tangent line direction off the object ball, the shot is probably fair. However, if the cue ball heads significantly forward of the tangent line immediately after impact, then the shot is definitely a foul due to a double hit. Here's another example. In super slow motion, you can clearly see the cue ball heading along the tangent line perpendicular to the line of centers. Here's an example that's a clear double hit foul. In super slow motion, you can clearly see the double hit. Here's two more examples of fair shots with clear single hits. Notice that the cue ball does hit the end rail. If it had not, this shot would have been a foul because we would not have had rail contact after hitting the object ball. As the cut angle gets smaller, it's more difficult to avoid the double hit. In this case, we want to hit a firm follow shot. To avoid a double hit here, we have to use what's called a footée or whip shot. The goal here is to use enough speed such that the Q-tip deflects away from the cue ball, allowing it room to clear down the tangent line. In this shot, the cue ball does follow well beyond the tangent line path, but immediately off the ball, it is heading close to the tangent line direction. The cue ball actually jumps a little bit into the object ball, hitting it above its equator. This causes the cue ball to head slightly forward of the tangent line immediately after ball contact, and then once the topspin takes over, the cue ball follows well forward of the tangent line. Again, this shot is fair, it's not a foul. Here it is again. In super slow motion, we can clearly see the single hit as the Q-tip deflects away from the cue ball, allowing the cue ball time to move down the tangent line before the Q-tip flexes back. Notice how the cue ball heads slightly forward of the tangent line due to the hop action, but with a double hit, the cue ball would have gone much farther past the tangent line. Here's a similar example with more cue elevation, but in this case we get a miscue. If a miscue is intentional, the shot is a foul, but in this shot the miscue does not appear to be intentional. So as long as there's not a double hit, the shot would be ruled fair. Again, the motion of the cue ball doesn't seem to suggest a double hit. For small cut angle shots almost straight in, it's very difficult to avoid a double hit when the gap is small. For a straight in shot with a single hit, the cue ball should stop in place momentarily after hitting the object ball before any topspin or bottom spin causes it to move. With this draw shot, the cue ball heads forward immediately, indicating a double hit. In super slow motion, you can clearly see the second hit pushing the cue ball forward. With a short follow-through, nip draw stroke, it is possible to avoid the double hit foul. With a single hit, the cue ball will not move forward of the ball contact point, and the bottom spin will draw the cue ball back. With a soft follow shot, it can be tough to see the hesitation of the cue ball before it follows forward, but it's usually pretty clear when there's a double hit. Here's an example of a clean, single hit, fair shot. Here's an example foul where the cue ball is obviously driven forward by a second hit. Here are some more examples of some double hit fouls. Cue elevation can sometimes help avoid a double hit when there's a small gap between the cue ball and object ball. Here's an example where the elevation does not help enough. We're still driving the cue ball forward of the tangent line with a double hit. Here are some examples that are more obvious double hit fouls. In super slow motion, you can clearly see the second hit pushing the cue ball forward. Here's a draw shot where the cue elevation does help us avoid a double hit. This shot is not a foul, although it would be if the cue ball did not contact the rail after contacting the object ball, because the object ball does not make it to a rail or the pocket. Here you can clearly see the single hit. The cue ball does not go forward of the ball contact point. Here are a couple of more examples. In this example, we get a single hit, but we don't hit a rail after ball contact, so the shot is a foul. When the cue is elevated, which will cause the cue ball to jump, and the gap is a little bit larger, the cue ball will tend to hit the object ball above its equator. This will cause the cue ball to drive forward slightly. Here's a couple of examples showing what a legal single hit looks like. A double hit foul is usually very clear in these situations because the second hit of the cue tip usually drives the cue ball forward with significant speed.